Who we honoring tonight? Welcome to the August 9th meeting of the Mayor and City Council of the City of Roswell. I would like to invite Charles Booker to come forward and lead us in the pledge. Charles, if you'll come forward, if we'll all stand and face the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Charles, if you'll remain standing, I have a proclamation to read on your behalf. And this is to Deputy Chief Charles Booker. Whereas in 1965, Charles Booker began his career as a Roswell volunteer firefighter, rescue squad, and earned the rank of Chief of Rescue. And whereas in 1984, the City of Roswell hired Charles Booker as a full-time fire inspector with the Fire Marshal's Office. And whereas Charles Booker continued his education and training and became a state-certified fire safety inspector, arson investigator, and emergency medical technician. These multiple state-certified licenses continue to prove his dedication for the well-being and safety of the citizens of Roswell. And whereas in 1993, Charles Booker was promoted to Deputy Fire Chief while serving alongside with former Fire Chief Neil Butterworth, and whereas in 2005, Charles Booker was assigned to be the Logistics Division Chief. This position ensures the repairs and maintenance to the entire fleet, as well as all of the fire stations and their equipment. And whereas on August 16th, 2010, Deputy Charles Booker will hang up his turnout gear for the last time as he plans to enjoy his retirement after a 45-year career as a fire official and public servant to the citizens of Roswell. Now, therefore, I, Jerry Wood, Mayor of the City of Roswell, do hereby proclaim August 9th, 2010 as Charles Booker Day, and ask all of our citizens and our City of Roswell firefighters to join in honoring and recognizing Deputy Chief Booker for his commendable career and congratulate him on a well-deserved retirement. Let's all stand and give a hand. Chief Spencer, I'd like you to come forward and say a few words also.
Well, it's a sad day, but it's a glad day. We're sad that Chief Booker's leaving, but we're also glad that he's going to be able to go and enjoy his retirement. He's been a loyal member of the department for 45 years. He served us well. He is one of the people that got us to where we're at today. Charles, Aubrey Reeves, and many of the old, I mean that way, many of the members that have been here for a long time have paved the way for us to be where we're at today, and for that we'll be forever grateful. And Charles, we hope that you enjoy your retirement. We'll always be part of our family, and we'll always be there for you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Charles, I'm sure we'll be seeing you at the dinners that we have from time to time at the fire station. So I know this is not our last time together, but I'm sure the council would love to have their photograph taken with you if you do us that honor. Council, if we could join Deputy Chief Booker. Okay. 45 years. That's impressive.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's more than a process.
Don't look old enough to retire.
All right, I want one more picture with all the firemen up here, and y'all can leave after this picture because I know you're not going to want to stick around for the rest of this meeting.
Oh, come on.
So I don't know how we can just.
We'll find a way.
We'll find a way.
Best to go back.
Yeah, we'll go back.
Yeah, you're going to need to go back. Get them all straightened out. Yeah, I'm sure risk management would love it. It's not wide enough. I have to be back. It's too close. Okay. Very good. Thank you.
Any closing words? Any piece of advice for the rest of these firemen in the last 45 years? What do you do in this book? Well, I don't think so. So I don't think anybody's going to hang around for 45 years. I do appreciate it. Well, enjoy your well-earned retirement. You're dismissed.
That cost too much money. She's already won. She can't put it back. Sorry.
Do we have a motion to approve the consent agenda? Motion by Councilmember Wynn. Is that a second by Councilmember Orleans? Does anyone in the audience have any questions regarding the consent agenda? All in favor of the motion, raise their hands. Passes unanimously. Next on the agenda is would like the council to review and consider passing a resolution regarding the Transportation Act. Now, this is a resolution which I think is mistitled. It's titled a opposition to the tax. It's not really an opposition to a tax. It's a request to revise what has been proposed. This is a resolution which was drafted by the North Fulton Municipal Association. A combination of Eva Galambos initiated it, and I helped draft it, and Mike Bodker helped draft it. It really is a position that is consistent with all of the other mayors in Fulton County, with the possible exception of Kasim Reed, and we've had a discussion about this on numerous occasions, about our position regarding this transportation bill. And Mr. Davidson, would you read that for the council? I know we've got a written policy, but I think it'd be appropriate to read it.
Thank you. This is a resolution of the City of Roswell to oppose the 1 penny sales tax as currently proposed. Whereas the citizens of Fulton and DeKalb counties have for more than 30 years paid a 1 penny sales tax on every dollar spent to build and maintain a regional transportation system the Metropolitan Atlanta Regional Transit Authority, or MARTA, and whereas MARTA benefits all citizens of Metropolitan Atlanta by carrying them to their jobs and schools, by reducing the number of cars clogging Metropolitan Atlanta's roads, and by reducing air pollution. And whereas the legislature has proposed an additional 1 penny sales tax to pay for regional transportation projects in Metropolitan Atlanta, expressly excluding MARTA, and whereas under the state's proposal, the citizens of Fulton and DeKalb counties will have to pay 2 cents in sales tax for regional transportation projects, while their neighbors in Cobb, Gwinnett, Cherokee, Clayton, Douglas, Fayette, Henry, and Rockdale counties will only have to pay a 1 penny sales tax for regional transportation. Now therefore be it resolved that the mayor and council of the city of Roswell oppose the imposition of an additional 1 penny sales tax for the transportation in Fulton and DeKalb counties, unless the surrounding counties form and fund a regional transit system, or, in absence of such action, the legislature passes legislation requiring the surrounding counties to form and fund a regional transit system. And this would be the reading of the resolution.
Yes, Councilmember Wynn.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just want to make sure, is that the revised? Because that's not what I had in my packet.
This has been revised since the packet did not include all of the language proposed by the mayor.
May I ask Mr. Attorney to read that last paragraph again, since we do not have it in written form? Thank you.
Just that last paragraph.
Okay. Now therefore be it resolved that the mayor and council of the city of Roswell oppose the imposition of an additional 1 penny sales tax for transportation in Fulton and DeKalb counties, unless the surrounding counties form and fund a regional transit system, or, in absence of such action, the legislature passes legislation requiring the surrounding counties to form and fund a regional transit system.
Thank you.
Does the council have any questions? Councilman Orleans.
Excuse me, Mr. Davidson, is my recollection that the vote on this is not for another year or two? 2012, I think it is.
The referendum, if it occurs, would be in, I think it's 2012.
2012, yeah, that's what I was wondering. Because I'm thinking that maybe this is a little premature, because I think we all have some concerns about the bill, the way it's gone so far. And I think our legislators, or I hope our legislators, would be addressing it in this next session, and then we still have another year and a half before the vote. And I haven't read this bill myself, so perhaps we could even get someone like Todd Long to come and go over it with us, or have him to a work session. But I guess I would just as soon we look at tabling this resolution or taking a stand on this until we have more information, or we're a lot closer to the vote, and try to work with our legislators in the upcoming session. So I would move to table it for now.
Councilman Orleans, the reason I'm bringing it forward right now is the legislators need to know what our position is. So if the position is that we don't mind paying an extra penny, I would support your position. But the vote is the list of projects, and the debate is going on now. If we wait until after the debate to take a position, it's too late. I was asked by someone, well, let's wait a while before we take a position. Let's not bring this subject up. Well, if we don't bring the subject up now, we've waited 30 years. We might wait another 30 years. I believe we need to take a position. So I'm saying let's cease being conservative and cautious. Let's cease saying let's not make any waves. Let's take a position and say where we stand. So, Councilman Orleans, I believe if you defer this, you'll be saying we don't want to take a position. We want our legislators to take a position. We're afraid to take a position. I am not afraid to take a position. I think we need to take a strong position, and I believe by inaction would be saying we're not taking a position. And Councilman Orleans, not taking a position is not accepting a responsibility and saying I'm fine with continuing to pay a penny. I am not fine with that. I am adamantly opposed to us taking the burden. And if this council is not willing to stand up now, when will you be willing to stand up? If you've got some questions, be glad to answer them. But if you're saying I don't want to take a stand, Councilman Orleans, we're elected to take a stand. Councilman Price,
if I can finish,
your hands up.
If I can finish what we were saying, I enjoy the way you always try to put words into our mouth of don't mind paying another penny and so forth. That has nothing to do with it, and you're off on your tangent again and trying to play your courtroom sessions. And all I'm saying is there is a lot more information to get. You may have your opinion set. I'm saying that I don't think that this is a time for the council, in my opinion, and we have 5 other opinions here, to actually vote on your resolution at this point in time.
Councilwoman, I would remind you, it is a resolution which has been proposed by the North Fulton Municipal Associations and not my resolution. If the council doesn't wish to take a position, that's their call. Councilmember Price, you had your hand up.
That was my question, was did this come out of the North Fulton Municipal Association, or what other municipalities are on board with this?
Mountain Park has passed it. Sandy Springs has deferred it. It is up for consideration. I spoke with Bodker today. He supports this language. This was revised with his amendment. I'm not sure what their council is going to do or what Milton council is going to do. And I'm not sure what this council is going to do. I know what my position is. We had a hand up over here. Councilmember DiPolito.
I guess I would have appreciated a little bit of a heads up on this so I knew it was coming forward so I could take a look at the bill, because like Councilman Orlins, I hadn't even had an opportunity to look at the bill. I am curious, why did Sandy Springs defer their vote?
I am not privy to that. I wasn't present at the meeting. I know it was Mayor Galambos is supporting this position, but the council, their council chose not to, they chose to defer it and not to vote. But I couldn't tell you why.
My understanding is there's, on August 15th, we're supposed to be getting a draft of each region's project and program lists, so I think there's some additional information forthcoming. It seems like we're putting the cart before the horse, particularly because we hadn't had an opportunity to read the legislation. So I agree with Councilman Orlins. We need to make an informed decision, and right now we have nothing except for a resolution. We don't have any of the information.
Well, I'm sorry, the council, that Mr. DiPolito and Mr. Orlins were not able to read this resolution. It was passed in the legislative session. It's been a big subject of discussion, and I hope that you will take an opportunity to look at it. As far as the list of projects, it's not going to affect the basic problem with this. The basic problem with this is we're going to be paying 2 pennies, and everybody else is going to be paying 1 penny for a regional solution. I was talking to someone today, and they said, well, the counties that don't ride MARTA, why should they pay for MARTA? Well, everyone who drives on our roads should pay for MARTA, because that's taking traffic off the roads. And without MARTA, we would have gridlock. If this city and if this county does not take a stand, we'll be paying another penny, an extra penny, as opposed to our neighbors for another 2 years. So I hope if the council does defer it, they will take the time to read what the legislature has passed. I hope you'll take that time. It's been available, and I hope you'll take the time to read it. Councilman Orlins, your hand's up.
Yeah, I was just going to say I don't necessarily disagree with the idea that that's not the way to go as far as us paying 2 cents versus other areas paying 1 cent. That is not what I'm trying to say. I'm trying to say that we need to work with our legislators. I mean, there's other things that I'd like to go. I'd like to see, I think we should be basing it all on our state gasoline tax and redistribute how it's done now. That's crazy the way that's done, where the population lives. But there's a lot of things that we need to look at for transportation. And I'm just saying that tonight is not the night to jump into your resolution and learn more about it.
Councilmember Wynn.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think we had issued a letter during the legislation terms regarding our concerns about this extra penny sales tax, and I think one of the things that had been brought up was to have Fulton County and DeKalb County more or less exempt from the 1 cent sales tax if we were obligated to pay the MARTA sales tax, and I just wanted to know where that train of thought had ended up, since I did not see that in the resolution. My understanding with the resolution is we're saying yes to MARTA or regional sales tax, or regional transportation system, but no other options, and I was just kind of curious about that option, if we want to put that in the resolution.
That would be appropriate to add if that's the direction to go. The key to this resolution It's saying we oppose the imposition of an additional 1 penny sales tax unless the surrounding counties also participate in regional transportation or the legislature changes it. So if the legislature changes this to exempt Roswell from that 1 penny, that would be included in this resolution. So the resolution is not saying we oppose the 1 penny. The resolution is not saying which project should be done. It's simply saying it's inequitable for Roswell to be paying 2 cents and East Cobb residents who are getting the same benefits are paying 1 penny.
And I understand what you're saying, Mr. Mayor, and I appreciate that. But again, I'm reading this legislation, and it is either, it's that they have to either the counties, the surrounding counties have to form and fund a regional transportation system, or the surrounding counties to form and fund. Well, it's kind of redundant right there. But I don't see any other options about exempt. I would like to be able maybe to hash this out a little bit more about exactly where we want to go with this. I don't know if I want to just tie it all into a regional transit system, but if there's a way that we could be exempt from that other penny, because to me, economically, it's not economically feasible for Fulton and DeKalb to be paying 2 cents more when everybody else is paying 1. So I'm just trying to find other options.
That other option, if the legislature would pass it, I'd support it. Councilmember Diamond.
It seems like we're on 2 different arguments and we keep going back and forth between them. I came ready to talk about the resolution, which I think is pretty much what we've said since the retreat back in the winter, that we're pretty much on the same page as that. I'd be interested to hear from the gentlemen who are here a little closer to it as far as the timing and help us understand that a little bit more.
Well, after the council has had an opportunity to ask the questions and make statements, we'll hear from the public. Any other questions or statements? This time we'll hear from anyone in the public who'd like to be heard on the subject.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and Council. My name is Michael Paris. I'm President and CEO of the Council of Quality Growth. The Council represents industry interest across the region. We've been very involved in the transportation issues for a long time. Worked very hard in the past legislative session to see this bill passed, and very pleased with the outcome. It's not perfect. It's not perfect for everybody. House Bill 277, though, does set us on the right track to help solve our transportation problems in the region. It is correct that the vote does not occur for 2 years, so that would be July 2012. And we have been involved with many others in the region, chambers, others in public groups, just now beginning to form how we go forward. There's a lot of work that has to take place. There's the project selection, the process. As you know, the bill is fairly complex in how the bill calls for roundtables and project selection. And then the companion piece of that is how we educate ourselves, all of us, as to what that means, how we get the public in each part of the region understanding what it means to them. And so we're just at the very beginning of the process. I understand the problem, and I certainly understand the mayor's concerns about the 1 cent versus 2 cents and the burden that Fulton and DeKalb have carried over the years. However, we do have a concern that this is a little bit premature, and we would certainly offer our help and others in our groups to come and work with you all and try to understand what the bill is about, and going forward what the best steps would be. I have with me Al Nash. I think probably most of you know Al. Al is a former chairman of the Council for Quality Growth and has been involved with the transportation issue certainly from the beginning, very well versed on the subject. I might let Al talk a little bit about it.
Yeah. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Council. Thank you, Michael. As most of you know, I wear a lot of hats, and I'm on the Greta board and worked very hard over the last 3 or 4 years. The only thing I think the bottom line is I want to be real careful, not only for Roswell, that we jump too early and we're out and we send a signal that we are opposed. I can share with you that living here and as a citizen of Roswell and North Fulton, I share the same concerns that you have, and when I say we, it's been a collective, as Michael described, of the community working on. There's going to be some refinement to 277, and I can tell you that item that we're discussing is been thrown out there, and there is some discussion with that. And it will take the legislature this year to refine that. But I want to be real careful, and I'm a little concerned with the way that I heard Mr. Davison read that it sends a signal, a soundbite, that, hey, we're opposed to it. And I think you're opposed to it as it is, as 277 currently is. But if we could get this refinement done, and I think what Michael has offered is to let us try to work with the municipalities and the concerns and see if we can't work to get this so that it makes a lot of sense. I'm the first to say that we need a regional transit system. It does not make any sense to have two counties carry that. Michael and I'd be happy to answer any questions, and we respectively request that possibly that this thing could be tabled, or at least make clear that it's only opposing the MARTA piece of it. Thank you.
Mayor, Mr. Nash, I want to make it clear to you and to the press that I do support a regional transportation tax, and I would be any revisions to this to make that clear. I would be open to, because that is my position. But it's also my position that it be an equitable tax, and that would mean if it's a regional tax, we should all be paying the same amount for regional transportation. And I challenge, and I would, what I'm hearing from you, and I understand from the entire council, is we all recognize MARTA is part of a regional system. It's an integral, essential part of a regional system. But the legislature has said specifically in the bill, it says the Metropolitan Atlanta Rapid Transit Authority shall not be authorized to use any of the proceeds from the Special District Transportation Sales and Use Tax for expenses and maintenance and operation of the transportation system. So the legislature has expressly excluded MARTA.
I agree.
And that's the part of the bill which I think we need to object to. And I don't know of any other way to state an objection other than out front. I object to it. And so I am open and to any revisions that would make it clear that we're not opposing the regional transportation
I just
tax.
want to be
I
fair
have supported
before
that regional transportation tax before it was cool. Before you became on the Greta board, and before Brandon Beach became on the DOT board, and from early on. But I think the best time to begin a debate and raise a question is early on, to make a point, and if this council wishes to defer it to further refine the language or not take a position, that's their voice. But I want to make it clear to everybody where I stand, and I think I made that clear.
And I respect that. Thank you.
Does anyone else wish to speak? I want to hear from the floor first. Anybody else from the floor wishes to speak, and then we'll come back to council.
Good evening. Ed Stent from 1345 Parkmont Street. I just want to go on the record. I believe that Atlanta is the largest metropolitan area in the country that receives no state funding. I think you guys are going to be on board eventually with something that's going to happen, hopefully in a master standpoint. I can't speak for this particular bill that you're talking about, but the State House has failed pretty much, and I have to tell my kids, my generation failed for mass transit, so I know hopefully you guys are going to make something happen, but I'm not sure about the particular 1 cent, 2 cent. I hope you do get it figured out, but I hope Roswell will be part of the whole transportation scene, hopefully in the next 20 years, so since we haven't done anything in the last 20 years. Thanks.
Thank you, sir. Does anyone else wish to speak? This time I'll call upon Councilmember Becky Wynn, who had her hand up.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I kind of like what you said about probably deferring this until we get some more specific language, and I think you threw out some good points about equitable. That's not in the resolution. Maybe the option of being exempt from the 1 cent sales tax, and something about maybe having MARTA being part of that. So I would entertain maybe having it defer so we can spruce up the language and be a little bit more specific on the resolution.
I'll take that as a second to the motion.
Yes, sir, you can.
Further discussion on the motion to defer. Councilmember DiPolito.
I support a regional transportation bill as well, so I think it's important that this moves forward in one form or fashion. I also agree with you that we need, Mr. Mayor, that we need to have an equitable solution. I guess what makes me very concerned is opposing the imposition of the 1 penny when we really don't understand how that impacts the surrounding counties and the equitable nature of all that. So perhaps one way to skin this would be to say that we support an equitable solution. So we are supporting the House bill, but looking for some changes and recommending an equitable solution and pointing out that we don't feel that this particular solution is equitable at this time, the way it's as drafted. Thank you.
Anyone else wish to comment before we take a vote? Councilmember Price.
Just as we arrived this evening, we have a memo from GMA dated July 21st. I don't believe I have seen this before, asking for our comments, it looks like, by September 30th. So if we defer tonight, I think we would have time to formulate a response that everybody would be comfortable with, or am I mixing up two different issues?
Couldn't tell. I haven't read the memo.
Well, since you haven't read the memo, maybe if we all read the memo and looked at... It's not two different things? Well, seeing as we just received it, and it seems to be related, I would agree that we look at this and take this matter up at the next meeting.
Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion, raise your hands. The motion to defer, no specific date, just a motion to defer. You may propose an amendment.
That we take it up at the next meeting.
We have a motion to amend to take this up at the next regular council meeting. Do we have a second? Motion fails for lack of a second. The amendment fails for lack of a second. The motion to amend fails for lack of a second. All in favor of the motion to defer? Yes, Councilmember DiPolito.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I don't think it's a good idea to leave it open-ended. I think 2 weeks may not give us enough time. So perhaps we can amend it to be the first meeting in September.
Is that a motion?
That is a motion to amend.
Motion to bring this back to the first meeting in September. Do we have a second? Second. All in favor of that motion to amend, raise your hands. That's 5 in favor. Councilman Orleans, are you abstaining? He is opposed. Councilman Orleans is opposed to putting it back on a regular date. The other 5 council members are in favor.
Yeah, I just think there's too many issues to coordinate, and we don't know if we'll have all those things settled by the first. I mean, that's a couple wecouple weeks.
The motion is not to pass it at the next meeting, but to bring it back for discussion. So, Councilmember Orleans, if the council is not comfortable with taking a vote at the first meeting in September, you can make another motion to defer. That motion, the amendment passes 5-1. Now we're to the main motion. All in favor of the motion to defer, raise their hands. Passes unanimously. Thank you for the council. I would ask that the council member read the bill. Davidson is going to send you a copy of the bill along with a copy of a review he's done of that bill, and encourage you to consider all the options, and we'll bring this back September 13th. Thank you for your consideration. Next item is appointments to numerous boards, and we're going to take those one at a time. To the Board of Zoning Appeals, I'm nominating for reappointment Hayden Branch, Michael Brennan, Glenn Maggiola, and Lee Rainwater. Do we have a motion, or first of all, do we have any questions or any exceptions to that? Any opposition to any of those appointments? Do we have a motion to reappoint Hayden Branch, Michael Brennan, Glenn Maggiola, and Lee Rainwater.
Motion.
Motion by Councilmember Wynn. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilmember Orleans. Any discussion? All in favor raise their hands. Passes unanimously. On the Cultural Arts Board, we have I'm nominating for reappointment Lee J. Howard. Do we have a motion to reappoint Lee J. Howard?
So moved.
Motion by Councilmember Orleans. Is there a second? Second by Councilmember DiPolito. All in favor raise their hands. Passes unanimously. For the Design Review Board, we have the appointment of I'm nominating John Caruth and Roberto Paradis for reappointment. Do we have a motion to accept the nomination? Motion by Councilmember Diamond. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilmember DiPolito. All in favor of that motion for John Caruth and Roberto Paradis. That is unanimous. To the Historic Preservation Commission, I am nominating Judy Mayer, Richard Hallberg, and Lonnie Mims for reappointment. Motion by Councilmember Wynn to reappoint those members. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilmember Orleans. All in favor of the motion raise their hands. Passes unanimously. To the Housing Authority, I am nominating for reappointment Jasper Tanner. Is there a motion to appoint Jasper Tanner? Motion by Councilmember Diamond. Is there a second? Second by Councilmember Eichelhart. All in favor of the motion raise their hands. Passes unanimously. This time we'll call upon Councilmember Becky Wynn with the Environmental Public Works Department.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is kind of exciting for me since I do sit on the Keep Roswell Beautiful Board, and I think this is a great incentive that we're doing tonight. It's the introduction of Keep Roswell Beautiful Green Business Designation Program. Mr. Moran.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Mr. Mayor and council members. The city of Roswell is blessed to have many, many citizens who are very much interested in the environment and protection of it. We have developed a sustainability program and been the first to receive the silver level. And along with that, we have a great volunteer organization, Keep Roswell Beautiful, and I'm going to ask David Smith to come up and join me and share the details. But Keep Roswell Beautiful has developed a program to recognize those businesses in the community that are pressing forward with environmental improvement, stewardship, and sustainability. And we, from a staff standpoint, we think this is a wonderful effort and commend the program for your consideration. So, David? David, of course, is a past chairman of Keep Roswell Beautiful, and now he continues in an unpaid role doing all kinds of good things.
My role's not paid? I thought I was waiting for that check all these times. My name's David Smith, and I get the pleasure of speaking a little bit tonight about our Keep Roswell Beautiful Green Business Designation Program. So I'm just going to give you a quick overview of the program and tell you a little bit about what it entails. There are four primary areas that we wanted to focus on. And first, just to mention some of the goals for the program, we knew that there were many businesses within Roswell, both small and large businesses, that were doing quite a bit in the green movement, so to speak. Some of those were doing it because it made sense financially for them to do it. Some of them were just doing it because they thought it was the right thing to do. So our first goal was to recognize those businesses that were doing things to help preserve the environment and do their part to go green. The second goal of the program was to encourage those businesses that maybe were not doing something, encourage them to take a first step and get involved and show them how easy it could be, some of the small steps that they could take to become a more sustainable business and really help out with the environment as a whole. So those two goals moving forward, we looked at four main categories. Those main categories were pollution prevention, energy conservation, solid waste reduction, and water conservation. And so what we formulated is within each of those 4 categories, several criteria that can be met. The program is set up into different levels. There's level 1, level 2, and level 3. And these levels were set up so that businesses can easily obtain some of those by making a few minor changes or just getting some recognition for what they already do. So within the different levels of each of those 4 categories, what we want to do is just make sure that businesses are going through and doing certain things within each of these levels. It may be having a in-house recycling program. It may be putting together a program that is a lights-off computer shutdown program at the end of the day to conserve energy. It could be encouraging employees to carpool or allowing teleworking opportunities. So a number of different categories and criteria that can be reached in each of those categories. The Keep Roswell Beautiful Board has a committee that is put together that is going to be going out and actually conducting audits, so to speak, where we come out and walk through the business, take these different levels, and walk through each business that applies and certifying that they meet the different levels. Businesses that meet any of the 3 levels will get a window cling with the logo that you see above. That's the Keep Roswell Beautiful Green Business logo. This is going to be a window cling for entrance doors or anywhere at the front of the business. Then they will also be receiving a certificate. Part of the Green Business Designation Program is that they have a pledge to commit to environmentally sustainable practices. They identify someone within the business to be a liaison, and then they welcome someone from the Keep Roswell Beautiful Board to come in and do an inspection. And as we go through and look at these things, we're going to be able to offer suggestions that may help them increase what they're doing by just making a few simple changes. And by recognizing the businesses that do these things, we hope that we're going to encourage others out there and have this be something that the logo is recognizable and something that businesses really want to do and will be coming to us to do. We met initially during formulating this program with the North Fulton Chamber of Commerce. Have talked with them about getting this out to different businesses within Roswell. It is going to be a Roswell-only certification program, but we certainly don't mind if that gets extended over to other municipalities that would like to do this. We kind of took the lead off of several cities from California. As you can imagine, most things environmental start in California and move out from there. So our program is modeled off of some of theirs. And we also have thought about tying in with the Find It All Roswell programs and the Roswell Connects. There's several different programs that are Roswell businesses. Although Roswell doesn't have their own Chamber of Commerce, those business entities bind together and have meetings where we can promote this program. We just really kicked off the beginning part of August. We already have 3 applications. And I'm happy to say that our first application that we received was from the city of Roswell. Although not a business, we're recognizing organizations such as churches and nonprofits and things as well. So the city of Roswell has been our first applicant. We have a couple other businesses that are in line as well, and we're going to be starting our kind of our audits, our walkthroughs in the next couple weeks, and we'll be recognizing those first businesses probably in the beginning of September. So if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
First, I want to compliment Keep Roswell Beautiful for coming forward with this and everyone who made this possible. I want to congratulate Becky Wynn and her department and Ken Eigelhart and his Green Ribbon Committee. I know you were part of this thing, if not directly, indirectly. So this is it's good for the city of Roswell. It's good for the world. And so I want to thank Keep Roswell Beautiful for bringing for this forward. And I see Councilmember Wynn over here fidgeting, so I'm going to recognize that.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I know I'm just very proud. I've been a member of Keep Roswell Beautiful now, I think, going on 4 years, and it's a great organization. And knowing David as I do, it doesn't surprise me that he went out and was very proactive at getting this done. So thank you so much, David, for that. But I do have a question.
Sure.
I'm assuming, and I'm going to do an assumption, that you will take suggestions of businesses that maybe the mayor and council has seen, that we have seen some evolution in how they handle either, any type of conservation, and I'm assuming that it would not be, that we can submit some names about some restaurants or businesses that we see that might be eligible for this award.
Most definitely. And instead of going out and printing off a bunch of information and posting it all over the place and keeping in the green movement, we're doing a lot of this electronically. So we're sending folks to our website. The Keep Roswell Beautiful has a new website that is up and going. We're continually loading new content onto that, and the green business designation information is all going to be on that website as well.
Councilmember DiPolito.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First of all, I want to say I think this is a great program, and congratulations on putting together something that I think is going to be a real benefit to the city. Anytime we can encourage environmental sustainability, we're doing a good job. I was curious, though, you said that you took this from a couple cities in California. Is there no national criteria put together for the designation of a green business?
Not that we could find, no. We contacted the city. The majority of this came from the city of Monterey, and contacted them. They were kind of the first municipalities and cities to put this type of program together. And we haven't found any type of national program. I think the LEEDS designation that the city has attained is kind of moving in that direction, but I think that's the first certification program that you're seeing on a national level. So we couldn't find anything for a small business to large business recognition.
So there's potential there that we could really promote this and really get it going on a national level even.
Sure.
We can encourage other cities to pick it up. Mm-hmm. That'd be great. My other question is, how does the city of Roswell look? Are we going to make level 3?
I think so. You guys are really far ahead of the curve on a lot of the things. As I mentioned, our first goal was to really get as many businesses doing a few things that we could set them up as a level 1 to get the recognition out there. And the program is set up so that once you're level 1, we encourage you to move to level 3. But I think with everything that the city has done and what I know from the Roswell Green program and the LEED certification the city recently has, it would certainly be a level 3. We have to do your audit yet, but we'll be doing that in a couple of weeks.
We'll be expecting the results.
Okay.
Thank you.
Councilmember Eichelhaus.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just want to commend KRB and make it clear that they're the ones who came up with this. Great work on this, and I think it's particularly commendable because I think most folks want to do things in terms of business and would love to do it, but they don't know what to do. And this lays out all the things that you can do, and then going to help with audits to come show how it can work in their own individual circumstances. So, this is great from top to bottom. So, I would hope that we will be level 3 with the first one to hit there as well. But thanks for all your work on this and great job.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, nobody asked, but the only thing green about this is the award and the logo. There's no cost to the city, and Kay always likes that.
Community Development Councilmember Betty Price.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm still trying to figure out what the issue is with commercial air fresheners, but I'll find out later, I'm sure. First item this evening, RZ 10-05, CV 10-01, and CU 10-03, 2925 Holcomb Bridge Road. Mr. Townsend will bring us up to date on that.
This application is requesting a deferral to the September 13th, 2010 Mayor and City Council meeting.
Has this come before us a number of times?
This is the second deferral of this application. This will be the last time they can defer. They need to be heard by Mayor and Council on the 13th.
On the 13th of September? I hope at that time that we have the information that we need to proceed on that, because I feel like I'm in the dark on this and really don't know what's going on.
This application will be heard at a public hearing at the Planning Commission on the 17th of this month. All the staff backup material will be included in your package for the meeting on the 13th of September.
Any other questions for staff? Is there anyone here tonight who came here tonight to be heard on this agenda item? If so, we'd like to hear from you now, whether it's on the deferral or on the merits. If this is deferred, there will be a public hearing when it comes back to council. See no hands up. Do we have a motion?
Move to defer item RZ 10-05, CV 10-01, and CU 1003.
Motion to defer by Councilmember Price. Is there a second? Second by Councilmember Wynn. All in favor of the motion, raise their hands. Passes unanimously.
Next item, Sidewalk Cafe License SC 10-03, Zest Restaurant at 957 Canton Street. Mr. Townsend.
Yes, this is an application for a sidewalk license for 957 Canton Street. This is the front of the store that is requesting the Sidewalk Cafe. This is a picture going north of the location that is requesting the Sidewalk Cafe. The applicant is requesting the area in red for the sidewalk license for this location. This maintains a 5-foot clear path along the sidewalk of all front of the whole store, or restaurant, sorry. Staff has recommended approval with 4 recommended conditions that are included in your bag of materials.
You want to go quickly over those conditions?
The first condition is the site plan that is on the overhead as you see it. The second condition is the barrier and all furniture must match all specifications included in the approved list for sidewalk cafe applications. Condition number 3 is the post and chains shall feature 2 chains that meet the ADA accessibility requirement. And the fourth is the applicant must obtain a license for land use from the City of Roswell and all applicable permits prior to construction.
Does the council have any questions? Mr. Townsend. Councilmember DiPolito.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Townsend, conditions 2 and 3 are part of the ordinance, are they not?
The second, or the 2 chains, was not part of the ordinance. It is part of the ADA requirement. We're just making it clear that they are required for the 2 chains. The condition number 2, we have an approved list, so condition number 2 could actually be stricken.
Okay. But as far as the 2 chains, I see we include that all the time now. Is that a change we need to make to the ordinance eventually?
Yes.
Okay. Then just out of curiosity, the applicant has only asked for a license on one side. Typically, we're seeing people come in for the maximum. I just was wondering why they didn't ask for both sides of their entrance.
The original application included tables and chairs on this side, but there is an existing light pole at this location. If that pole would have to either be removed to maintain the 5 feet, and it was staff's recommendation to the applicant to remove the tables requested on that side.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Any other questions? Councilmember Orleans.
I'm trying to follow the pictures in the diagram. This diagram shows 5 foot 8 inches for out to the tables, and then it leaves 5 feet left to the curb that we look for and require.
Yes.
And then I'm looking at this one picture, and this is the one that's got the light pole in it. It's showing 2 feet from the base of the light pole to the curb and a foot from there to the poles. And the next one, I can't read all of the dimensions that are in yellow on it. So I guess I'm trying to understand how we get 5 feet for bypassing the sidewalk tables.
Councilman Orleans, on the overhead, we eliminated any tables and chairs in this area to maintain the 5 foot location because we knew we couldn't maintain it at this spot. So the 5 foot is maintained along here. They then go closer to the wall and are maintained along that location.
I guess I'm looking at the picture and it says 2 feet and 1 foot 4 inches. And then the width of the white light pole, I don't know what the width of the light pole is.
That's the side of those aren't going to be tables.
Well, I know, but I'm just looking, the dimensions should be consistent. I can't read the dimensions on the other page, the other picture.
Is this the picture you're looking at, Councilman Orleans?
That's the one I can't read the dimensions over here in the lower right corner, but I saw looking on the other picture coming from the opposite end of the light pole.
This is where the 5 foot is being maintained.
Is that what that says, 5 feet?
Yes. And then the other 5 foot is being maintained up here.
Okay. That's the one that wasn't very clear on my picture. Thank you.
Any other questions for staff? Do we have a motion?
I just wanted to clarify again what brings it before council that is not clear that staff could normally handle on its own. Is one of them the fact that we changed the chains, or is that?
No, all sidewalk cafe licenses can only be authorized by council.
Okay, gotcha.
Because they're using public right-of-way.
Okay, do we have as many sidewalk cafes as we can now have on Canton Street? Just about. I would like to just recommend that we do start the process on the ordinance with the 2 chains, so that that's an issue that we won't have to face again. Otherwise, just like to move to approve sidewalk cafe license SC 1003 Zest. And is the applicant here? Anyway, I made that motion.
Yes, he's present, but sometimes it's best to sit quietly. Things are going smoothly. We have a motion by Councilmember Price. Do we have a second? Second by Councilmember Diamond. Does anyone in the audience wish to be heard on this matter? Any further discussion by council? Councilmember Price.
Well, yeah, I just wanted to know if the applicant was still wishing the tables on the other side, and was there any other way for them to achieve that, i.e., were they interested at their expense to move the light pole, for instance?
If we have the applicant could come forward. The question is that I guess Councilmember Price is suggesting that if you want to move the light pole, she might consider the additional seating if you would agree to move the light pole, but that would be expensive.
We have originally applied for 4 tables out there, but it was denied because that light pole did not give us the clearance of 5 feet. And it all depends on what the expense of removing that light pole.
Let me make a suggestion, and that is approve this tonight. And then if you can check with staff at what it would cost to move the light pole, and you can reapply to expand it.
So as of stands, I can have those 2 tables.
That is the motion, to give you 2 tables.
Okay.
And my suggestion would be, if you want to look into moving the light pole, I think Councilmember Price is open to moving the light pole if you'd pay for it.
That would be great, yes.
So we have a motion and a second to approve the 2 chairs on this site plan.
2 tables.
4
4 chairs.
2 tables. Anyone else wish to comment? Any other questions of council? Councilmember Wynn.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This isn't a question, it's more of a statement. Am I all right to make a statement?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I have noticed that in the past, when we have been giving out sidewalk licenses, that the applicants, after we approved, has been taking their sweet little time getting this done. And there's one particular cafe that I will not mention who has decided to go against all state laws and our ordinances and kept putting out the tables without any types of barriers. And my understanding that they were warned numerous times. And I'm pretty sure you're not going to be like that. But I'm just putting it out to code enforcement that if we're going to do this and we're going to give these people the opportunity to have a sidewalk cafe, we're going to have to enforce the state law. Now, if that means putting up a 2x4 and running a piece of rope around, that's fine. But let's just make sure that when this is happening on any and all sidewalk cafes, that they adhere to every letter of the law. And good luck to you on your endeavor.
Any other discussion before we take a vote? Councilmember Price.
I've probably gotten myself in trouble by speaking before I thought. That's not unusual, but I'm now thinking I don't really want to encourage the applicant to move the light pole in such that they're probably equidistant, and it probably would not be advisable, but all that could be looked at, but it probably is not the greatest idea that I've had.
Well, like I said, if I guess it comes down to what the cost to remove the light pole. Yeah.
Well, that, and if it would be fitting,
right,
if you move two of them so close together and there's a big gap, it might make no sense whatsoever. But I was just trying to assist you in getting another table if you were hoping for that. So I guess the motion just rests with the two tables.
Yes, for now, yes.
With all conditions of staff.
Thank you.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion, raise your hands. Passes unanimously.
Thank you.
The next item is the approval of the resolution to create the Groveway Stakeholder Committee and appointment of the committee members. Alice Wakefield.
Yes, this request is, of course, a resolution to create the Groveway Stakeholders Committee and to appoint the committee members. The purpose of this committee is to assist the ARC and staff in the development of implementation tools such as form-based zoning, design guidelines, and or other revisions to the City of Roswell's development regulations to implement the Groveway Community Charrette.
Would this, do we have a specific list of committee members which we would be approving tonight if we approve this?
Yes, sir.
Could you put that on the overhead just for everybody's information? So those are Gail Bohannon, Ralph Mills.
Ralph Mills, Donna Slight, Saban Strickland, Frank Lewis, David Lau, Booker Knuckles, Virginia Patterson, Lou Conte, Dan Powell, Bill Bartlett, Roberto Perez, Charles McMillan, and Annie Ruth Manning.
Are all of these residents of Roswell?
Yes, sir, I believe so. Yes, sir.
Any other questions of council? Councilmember Price.
Are all willing to serve?
Yes, ma'am. It's my understanding that they all are willing to serve.
Any further questions of Ms. Wakefield? Do we have a motion?
I move that we approve the Groveway Stakeholder Committee as presented.
Motion by Councilmember Price. Do we have a second? Second by Councilmember DiPolito. I'm not sure who the other first was, but we're going to give it to Mr. DiPolito because he was the loudest. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Councilmember Price.
I just need to expand that to include the resolution. Approve the resolution of creating the stakeholder committee with the names as presented.
That is the motion, and that is Mr. DiPolito. Is that the second? He clarified it. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion, raise their hands. Passes unanimously.
The next item is to approve additional members of the Comprehensive Plan Advisory Committee, or CPAC group. There are 4 additional names.
Again, as was mentioned, this is a request to expand the CPAC committee to include 4 additional names. Those individuals are put here on the overhead. They have expressed their willingness to participate, and staff just asks that be approved.
Is there any questions for staff? Or again, did you say all these were residents?
Yes, sir.
Councilmember Orleans.
I just wanted to clarify that you've talked recently to Alfredo Ortiz, because he is now commuting out of the city every week, and so I was wondering if he is really going to be able to serve.
Yes, sir, it is my understanding that he has expressed a willingness to serve.
I spoke with him a week ago, and he was interested in serving.
Doing it.
Any further questions? Do we have a motion?
I move to approve these additional names for the CPAC, for CPAC.
Motion by Councilmember Price. Do we have a second? Second by Councilmember Wynn. All in favor of the motion, raise their hands. Passes unanimously.
The next item is to approve a resolution to accept the 2010 CDBG grant for the Arts Village infrastructure.
Okay. This is part of the procedures for a community development block grant. As was mentioned at committee, there's an urgency for the spend down of the funding for the 2010 funding year, and we're asking that this body approve the acceptance of that grant amount in the amount of $502,282.
Just for clarification, this is the Oak Street project. Is that what this project is?
No, sir. This is a project related to infrastructure improvements in the Arts Village, which is part of Groveway and part of Oak Street. So we've made it broad-based, so we'll have more flexibility.
What infrastructure improvements are we talking about?
We're looking at Oxbow and the improvements proposed there.
All right, I understand now. Councilmember Price.
You're at a bit of a disadvantage because we had a confusing committee meeting discussing this a few weeks ago where we prioritized how we would use this money. I don't know if we need to be discussing that at this point or just accepting the grant and we will determine, I suppose, where that money goes at some future point. But
this is accepting the grant, and it's not the final vote on how it will be.
Yes, sir. That's correct.
That's a clarification, which is helpful. I'm all for accepting grants. Other questions? Do we have a motion?
Move to approve the acceptance of the CDBG 2010 Arts Village Infrastructure Improvement Project.
Motion by Councilmember Price. Do we have a second? Second by Councilmember Orleans. Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion, raise their hands. Passes unanimously.
The next item is for approval of the mayor or administrator to sign agreements for utility relocations with Georgia Power, AT&T, Charter Communications, and Mir Electric for the Oak Street Streetscape project totaling $705,953. Alice Wakefield.
Okay, I'm going to say a little bit, then I'm going to turn it over to Clyde Strickland. As was mentioned, this is a request to approve the mayor and or the city administrator to sign the agreement with Georgia Power, AT&T, Charter Communication, and Mir Electric for the Oak Street Streetscape project of the relocation of the overhead utilities. This matter has been discussed several times by this body in committee, and staff, thanks to Mr. Strickland, has worked very hard to bring the cost down to $705,953.
Now, this is part of a bigger project.
Yes, sir. This is phase one of the project.
And how much do we have budgeted for the entire project?
This is the only amount that the city has budgeted for phase one. It was my understanding that it was anticipated that phase 2 and 3 would be done by developers as they come on board. 1.4 million. Thank you.
All right. So
phase one.
Phase one is moving the utilities.
Yes, sir.
And no money has been allocated for phase 2?
Correct. No, sir.
And phase 2 would be, what are we going to be doing in phase 2?
In this project, there are some utilities that are in the area of phase 2 that are required to make the utilities in phase 1 work. We're calling them part 1 and part 2 of placing the conduits underground for AT&T and Charter.
So we're going to be moving utilities, placing some of them underground, and some of them are still going to be, I understand that the communications will be underground and the power will be overhead.
Correct.
And this would be in anticipation of further improvements to the streetscape.
Correct.
And do we have any idea what these further improvements to the streetscape are going to cost?
The streetscape is, as per the original estimates, is $496,000.
Is that money been allocated?
That's in the budget. Correct.
All right. So the total project will be $705 plus $496, so it'll be about $1.2 million.
Correct.
And we have money available for both the 705 and the 496.
Yes, we do.
And the 705, how much did we originally have budgeted for that, and how much did we allocate for that?
The original amount that we had allocated.
What's approved in the budget for this?
Mr. Strickland, Mr. Mayor, these are multiple program year CDBG funding. So we had 2009 funding, we had 2010 funding for the Arts Village infrastructure, and then we had allocated some money in general fund through capital projects. Right now we're spending only CDBG money for this portion. So
I'm just trying to figure out, when I say allocated, I'm just saying, has the council approved $1.2 million for these for the combined projects?
Yes, sir.
And so we're within budget.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Are we under budget?
We are.
We are.
By how much? It's always
by
like
about
good news.
$195,000.
$1,000.
$195,000.
$195,000.
Yes.
Congratulations. That's much better than 1,000, and it's always
much
going to be
better.
under budget. Those are my questions. Does the council have other questions? Councilmember DiPolito.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I don't have a question. I have a comment, and I wanted to thank Community Development for all their effort on this. I know it's been a long road, and they've looked at $1.2 million options trying to get this figured out, and I think this is a really good solution. And I think it'll go a long way toward helping to redevelop the Groveway area. So this is the first step to help beautify some of that streetscape, and I think it's a step in the right direction for the city. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any further discussion before we entertain a motion? Do we have a motion?
Yes, I move approval for the mayor or city administrator and/or city administrator to sign the agreements for the utility relocations with Georgia Power, AT&T, Charter Communications, and Mirror Electric for the Oak Street Streetscape project totaling $705,953.
Motion for approval by Councilmember Price. Is there a second? Second by Councilmember DiPolito. Does anyone in the audience have any questions or have any comments? Any further discussion by council? All in favor of the motion, raise their hands. Passes unanimously.
The next item, number 11, first reading of the approval of an ordinance to amend Article 14.3, Special Events of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Roswell. Alice Wakefield, please.
This is the first was mentioned. This is the first read of the amendment to the special events ordinance. Staff has had a discussion with this body in committee regarding how to enhance the special events program, and one of the first steps is to amend the ordinance to remove the provisions related to the fee amount, and to amend the provision where the city administrator or his or her designee will have the ability to waive the application fee. What will come before you at the time of the second read will be a resolution establishing the fee that was agreed upon in committee, which is Tier 1, which is $150 for events using city resources and $50 for all other events. Also included will be a non-refundable fee that was just mentioned. That'll be part of the policies and procedures that we're currently cleaning up and working on. We also we'll put in that policy and procedures manual that applications may be received 1 year in advance, but no later than 90 days. The cap will be maintained for those sponsored events at $3,000, so that will not change. Other issues that were matters that was discussed was to limit the number of events on the same day. No date was given, but just with the ability to accept applications in advance, we'll be better able to look at city resources. Reoccurring events to be put on an annual list for mayor and council approval early in the budget year before the budget is approved. Also to set the Chattahoochee Nature Center apart on a separate line item for approximately $10,000. This would be the same as was done for the Roswell Bike Festival. But what we're asking for you to do tonight is just to approve the first read on the amendment to the ordinance.
The council have any questions? Councilmember Price.
I guess my question is to the inclusivity. For instance, if we pass an ordinance at some point, then the fee structure exists somewhere else, like in a separate location, and that's changeable by mayor and council or by department or how?
Mayor and council.
Okay. Is there a body somewhere where all these fee structures are going to be housed if our ordinance just says according to a fee structure that's somewhere?
And each department has a list of the various fees for the various processes. For community development, what we will do will be to make it very clear what the fee structure is for the special events that will be part of the policy and procedures manual.
Mr. Davidson, would you explain why we've taken the approach of having the fee separate from the ordinance and how it changes in the way things are revised?
Basically, the reason the council has done it in the past was it allows the council to go in and change the fees for various licenses by just having one reading of a resolution. If we keep it in the ordinance, we have to have two readings. So therefore, we have been able to go in and change when necessary with just one action of council instead of having to bring it back in 2 months instead of just one reading.
Any other questions? Councilmember Eichelhardt.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We've had some discussion about, I guess, what we're calling now the Tier 2 groups, that you come in something very minor, we don't really even use city resources, and whether or not the 90-day advance applies to them, because if it's somebody's neighborhood in a cul-de-sac, frankly, they may not even have that plan 90 days ahead. And I don't want to lay out, because I think we've said that some may come the week before, and it's really no big deal. We don't really want to encourage that, but at the same time, do we have something somewhere, and we don't have to have it right now, but to where, if somebody comes 30 days or 3 weeks ahead and whoops, I missed 90 days, it's going to be a lot of issues for those folks that really don't need to be there. So as long as we deal with that somehow.
Yes, sir, we will. We'll have that in the policies and procedures.
Okay, thank you.
Other questions? Mrs. Wakefield, I see here that we have the city administrator waiving the authority to waive the fees. Is this what we typically do in other ordinances? Is the city administrator giving her discretion over where a fee is charged or not?
I can't speak for other ordinance. The current ordinance says the mayor. This was presented to the committee, the last committee meeting, and that was the recommendation of the committee. But the current ordinance says the mayor.
From the mayor, who's an elected official, to the city administrator, who is a non-elected official.
As I mentioned,
I wasn't present. I don't think I was present.
Exactly.
So I'm just trying to understand why we're shifting that role to a non-elected official.
Well, I'm going to have to defer to the elected officials, but the staff's proposed amendment just showed a non-refundable application fee, that there would be no waiver of the fee.
I know that generally speaking, we try to leave these discretionary calls to elected officials who answer to the public rather than to an administrator who doesn't answer to the public. So I'm just wondering why we've changed this. So if any council members, Councilmember Diamond.
My understanding was it was a simplification because it was really more of an administrative thing, and administrative staff is here full-time and might be available to answer that more quickly and more efficiently.
Councilmember Price.
Has there been a problem with that request going through the mayor's office, or has it provided a burden to the mayor's office, or has the mayor been has this been communicated to the mayor that this was going to happen?
Well, it has not been a problem for staff. And as far as communication, staff made the change based on what came out of the committee meeting. But if you're asking if I specifically sent an email or a notification to the mayor, no, I did not.
And I did not notify the mayor. He was not present at the committee meeting. The committee meeting minutes go out as a routine. We don't discuss those unless there's a particular question. So I did not have any communication with the mayor about the current process or proposed process or changes.
Well, it hasn't been a burden upon me, and I'm wondering if there has been a problem of any council members with the mayor having that discretion. Or, again, I believe when it comes to discretionary calls, it needs to be an elected official decision, whether it's the mayor or the council. I think it's appropriate to the elected official who has to answer for his decisions to the electorate versus city administrator who is not answerable to the electorate. Councilmember DiPolito.
Mr. Mayor, I think we were just trying to remove an administrative burden off of you, but certainly if you want to have that authority, I'm okay with that.
I will tell you, I have many burdens, but I don't believe that's one of them. Councilmember Diamond.
Yeah, and I don't remember the whole discussion. It does seem like there have been a few areas where, like, does mayor and council really need to make this decision? This doesn't seem to rise to that level, and that seemed like one of those issues. It wasn't really any personal issue. It was just where can we simplify the process for the applicant.
Councilmember Orleans.
I guess in looking at the revised schedule of getting it more accurate on the time that's needed with the two-tier approach, and I wasn't at the committee meeting to be involved in the discussion, but I guess just logically looking at it, why do we even need a waiver? I mean, it seems like it's pretty cut and dried now as far as just a permit fee of the $50 or $150, so I think it was back to the actual staff wording of just having the fee in there without a waiver. I'm not sure there's a need for it for anybody.
I don't know enough to address whether waiver or not. I just know that whether it's waived or not could be a political decision, and I think that's best left to elected officials who have to answer for political decisions and not staff who shouldn't be pressured to be making political decisions. So, we have Councilmember Price.
Just a question. Just a ballpark figure, in the past year, how many waivers have been requested of you?
I have no recollection of whether they were requested or not requested. I know that from time to time, Kay might have a better idea because she may keep track of these things better than I do.
I think the ones that have been waived, you and I have discussed, so probably 2 or 3. Difference in waiving the fee versus city sponsorship, so I would say a couple.
And I don't recall what they were. The sponsorship, the city becomes a sponsor, and typically there's more than just the waiver of the fee. We put
and that comes to committee, right?
That goes to committee.
Right.
The waiver of a fee, we really are trying to look at the benefit to the city and the charitable purposes of it, and those things are considered.
Right.
But it really is trying to say is this something that's good for the city of Roswell and we want to encourage? And I think that's the process we go through, but it's not, and we haven't had a problem with it in the past.
Well, sorry, that's what I was saying with revising it down, and we're only talking about the permit fee, and it's $50 just for anybody that comes in without any involvement of city resources. And if they're using city resources, we've got just that $150 application permit fee, I guess I'd question where it would even need to be waived at all, so maybe removing that.
Well, these are all decisions for the council to make, who waives it and should it be waived at all. I can tell you the times that it was waived and Kay and I discussed it, I thought it was appropriate to waive it, but I was not prepared to give you specifics tonight, and I can't remember who we waived it for. But they were good causes, folks.
Well, since this is the first reading, maybe that can be looked into before the second reading.
We'll do it. Mr. Davidson needs to read the ordinance.
Thank you. This is an ordinance to amend Article 14.3, Special Events of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Roswell, Georgia. Now, therefore, pursuant to their authority, the Mayor and Council of the City of Roswell, Georgia, do hereby adopt the following ordinance. Section 14.3.4, Permit application and fee is hereby deleted in its entirety to be replaced by the following, text of which is incorporated herein by reference, and if approved, this will be the first reading.
Do we have a motion for approval of the first reading?
I move to approve with striking city administrator, replacing it with mayor.
Motion to approve with the substituting the mayor for city administrator in the waiver. Is there a second? Second by Councilmember DiPolito. Further discussion? Again, this is the first reading, so we'll have an opportunity to further revise it. Does anyone in the audience have any questions or comments? Any further discussion by council? All in favor of the motion, raise their hands. Passes unanimously. This time we'll call upon Councilmember Rich DiPolito, Transportation Liaison.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This item is approval to remit $263,307.77 to the Georgia Department of Transportation to fulfill the city's 20% obligation towards GDOT's construction contract with Southern Concrete Construction Company, Inc., for the construction of the SR9 140 intersection improvement project. And before Mr. Asenbrack begins, I'd just like to commend the Transportation Department for working with GDOT over the years. And I know it's been many years, and it's been a long, hard struggle, and I'm glad we finally got there. And we've worked very hard on these median breaks. We have there was the insistence of GDOT to add medians to the state highways. There was concern by the city council that the medians were too long and that they would negatively impact the surrounding properties. And our staff had worked very hard, and we've had contact with the GDOT board members and several others, and have been able to shorten some of those median breaks so that it provides for safety for GDOT, but it also provides good access for the surrounding properties. So kudos to all of you for working so hard, and looking forward to getting this one started. Mr. Asenbrack.
Thank you, Councilman DiPolito. Mr. Mayor, members of City Council, thank you for those kind remarks. As a matter of fact, just to piggyback on this, I'd tell you that the concept of context-sensitive design, where we take the national standards and we apply them to our specific situations, results in projects that both improve safety, improve the traffic throughput as it's designed to, and also allows for the local access so the business community can thrive. I think it's just a win-win-win all the way around, and I appreciate you taking the time to notice that, because it is quite a struggle to balance all those competing needs. With regard to this particular item, I am happy to report that I think for many of us this is an exciting time. We've been waiting for this particular project for quite a while. This is the heart of our city, and it has congestion problems, it has access problems, and it has safety problems. And we're, in summary, the scope of this project is to add dual left turns basically in the east and west direction, which complements the southbound direction, and then it includes the safety median breaks, which were tailored specifically for our particular area after a great deal of work. So What we have is the project framework was signed by this council, or by the mayor and the city council in June of 2004, and it provided for the 20% match. So the $1.3 million construction award, our fair share is $261,000, which is, I think, very reasonable cost for the magnitude of the improvements that we're about to receive from this project. So I respectfully request your favorable consideration.
I want to compliment staff and the council and the community for working on this together. Just a teaching moment. This was June of 2004. To give everybody remind them how long it takes transportation projects to get through, and the importance of keeping transportation projects in the queue. You have to be persistent. You have to stay after these things. They take a lot of work, but they will be long-term permanent improvements when they made. And persistence does pay off. Don't give up.
Thank you, sir.
So I support this. Further discussion by council? Do we have a motion?
Move to approve.
Motion by Councilmember DiPolito. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilmember Wynn. Does anyone in the audience have any questions or comments? Any further discussion by council? All in favor? Passes unanimously. When are we going to see, when does this project begin and end?
Mr. Mayor, I don't have the schedule from the contractor, but I can assure you in the next 60 days you'll see movement out there.
And how long do you think we're going to have movement?
Probably about a year.
About a year?
We agreed that we were not going to close the road to do the construction, so it will be done what we call under traffic. So we'll be moving, shifting lanes and things, and there will be some dust and there will be some inconvenience, but at the end of the day we're going to have a much safer and a much more effective road network.
And I understand this is going to dovetail with the current project on South Atlanta Street.
There's a little bit of a break, but it is going to come together.
Span that break.
Yes, sir. We will span that break. But yes, so what we'll have is we'll have continuous improvements from Norcross Street right outside here at City Hall all the way up through Commerce Parkway at some point in the very near future.
That's great. Thank you, Councilmember DiPolito and Councilman Mr. Asenbrock.
Thank you.
This time I'll call upon our liaison to the Administration and Finance Department, Councilmember Jerry Orleans.
First item, only item on our agenda tonight is approval of an ordinance to authorize Fulton County to conduct a special election for the city of Roswell. And this will be the second reading, and this is to place on the regular November 2nd ballot the redevelopment powers law for the city of Roswell. I move for approval of the ordinance.
Mr. Davidson, would you read the ordinance?
Thank you. This is an ordinance of the City Council to authorize Fulton County to conduct special election. Now therefore be it ordained by the Mayor and Council of the City of Roswell, and is hereby ordained and established by authority of the same, that the Mayor is authorized to enter into a contract with Fulton County Department of Registrations and Elections to conduct this election using express poll or other such measures as approved by the Georgia Secretary of State, which contract is attached hereto and incorporated herein by reference. If approved, this will be the second reading.
And again, when will we be conducting this special elections for redevelopment powers?
The first Tuesday in November.
November 2nd. So it will be piggybacking on with all the other elections.
Yes, sir.
Do we have a motion?
Move for approval.
Motion by Councilman Orleans. Do we have a second? Second by Councilmember Eigelhart. Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion, raise their hands. Passes unanimously. This time we'll hear from our city attorney.
Thank you, Mayor. I have a recommendation for closure to discuss personnel, acquisition of real estate, and litigation.
Motion by Councilmember Wynn. Is there a second? Second by Councilmember DiPolito. All in favor, raise their hands. Passes unanimously. At this time, we have a work session in room 220, after which we'll have a closure. Councilmember Price.
I wanted to make a motion. Please. Are we adjourned?
No, we'll reopen it for your motion.
Well, I had my hand up for a long time. I just wanted to move to reconsider an item in the minutes, and I know that was under the consent agenda, but I'm used to minutes being approved separately, and I didn't speak up at the time on page 21. It's just a typo, and perhaps I can address that to someone else at another time, but I just wanted to make sure that...
If it is just a typo, I don't think that requires a motion. What is the typo?
Well, it's right in the very middle of the page 21. It says, "A presence of a county over the seat or vice versa," which really doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Really, presence is supposed to be the word precedence, and seat is supposed to be the word city.
Well, we'll take care of it. Is that a motion to
Just to correct the minutes.
Do we have a second? Second by Councilmember Wynn. All in favor of the motion, raise their hands. Passes unanimously. Any further motions? We're adjourned again.